As part of our visit to Hanoi, the Vietnamese arranged for us to take a trip outside of the capital city, out to Ha Dam province and to a cemetery. And we were led there by a office director from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs named Woodcock, who 20 years later would be the vice foreign minister and foreign minister with whom I would deal. But on this trip, we were there, all the military members of our team, all the 5 commissioners led by Woodcock, and they take us to a cemetery. And there at the cemetery, there's sort of like a mausoleum in which they are storing the remains of American servicemen whose bodies were collected off the battlefield. And they're preserved in sort of metal boxes, and really all that's left are bones. But they're associated with a name, because when they would find the pilot, the pilot would have his name on his flight suit, and so they had these associated. And they showed us 10 boxes of remains. It was a difficult environment to be in. You could feel death everywhere. Oh, we saw the remains. We agreed to accept them. And the next day, as we would leave Hanoi, we traveled by vehicle out to the airport. Our cargo plane had flown in from the Philippines. It was there, parked. The back ramp of it was down. We were all in our suits and ties. And there were tables set up, empty tables, metal tables. And as we stood there waiting, a truck drove up, driven by Vietnamese military staff. They stopped the truck in front of the tables. They got out and they offloaded these 10 metal boxes, rectangular boxes, not the size of a coffin or a casket, but a box, each of which contained the bones of an American serviceman. So these 10 boxes are laid out side by side on this metal table. The Vietnamese got in the truck and they drove off and they left us alone. They did it respectfully. As soon as they were gone, out of the aircraft came U.S. military detail in uniform, carrying 10 American flags. And with great ceremony, they came up and laid a flag, folded American flag in a triangular thing on top of each of the metal boxes. And we, the commission and the staff, we lined along the ramp, leading up to the ramp and the ramp into the plane. And one by one, this military honor guard in their full U.S. military uniforms picked up the boxes and carried them with great solemnity into the plane as we all saluted by covering our hearts. As I stood there, one by one, watching these caskets with the remains of these men who I had never known in life, to whom I had no personal connection. But it brought home to me the lesson of the battlefield, of what it meant to be an American in Vietnam, which was that if Americans were in trouble, under fire, wounded, even killed, you always went to them, even though you didn't know their name, their religion, their ethnicity, their race. All you needed to know was that they were Americans. That was the bond in combat. And here in the capital of our wartime enemy, we were fulfilling that bond by bringing these 10 fallen Americans back home. 12,000 miles from our country. It really brought home to me what it means, what it meant to be an American in Vietnam, what it means to be an American.